left on that. We're live. We're going to be getting started soon. It is 6:30 on the dot now, so we're going to get started. Hello, you're at the Camp Seale Harris Facebook Live, Camp Questions Answered. Welcome, first time ever for us, so if we don't know what we're doing, just bear with us. We know exactly what we're doing at camp. So I'm Rhonda McDavid, I'm Executive Director, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about everything we're going to cover tonight and introduce you to people you probably already know, maybe have seen live and in person before or not. But this is John Latimer, our Camp and Community Programs Director, and Angie Teague, our Camp Registrar. You have talked to Angie on the phone probably at least once if you're already registered for camp, and if you're not, you will. So the reason we're doing tonight is I was once a camper mom dropping off a 6-year-old to overnight camp and having no idea what to expect, and so we want to let you know a little bit about what it's going to look like when you come to camp, when you drop your kid off, the things that they're going to do, a little bit about what happens during that week, and then about picking back up. But let me start first with just the overall, what you can expect, the purpose of camp to be, and what your kid's going to get out of it. Surprise, it is not going to be perfect blood sugars for a week. It is going to be a lot of learning about how to manage your blood sugar, no matter what you're doing, whether you're riding a horse or going down a water slide or sweating in the Alabama heat. We're going to learn about counting carbs. We will eat all kinds of different food, a lot of the same kind of food that you might eat at home or your kid might eat at school. It won't, there's no diabetes food that we're going to be eating. We're going to make a lot of friends. Most campers come to camp not knowing anybody, and they make a ton of friends. You can plan to take the week and not think about diabetes, because there will be 4 to 6 doctors, 8 to 10 nurses, several pharmacists, 20 plus counselors that live with diabetes. I'll be in the minority at camp among people who do not live with diabetes, but for that week, day and night, somebody that knows about diabetes is going to be with your child. So you could plan to take some time to not even think about it for the whole week, and enjoy letting your child make new friends and learn a lot. We're going to start with Angie. She's going to give us an overview about what it's like to get to camp, and as people have questions while she's talking, feel free to go ahead and comment, and Mary Ellen, who is behind the camera, is going to share those questions with us, and Angie can answer those. And then after that, John's going to talk about what it looks like when you get to camp and things that happen at camp, and then checking out after camp. And then I'm going to wrap it up with a few general type questions, and we'll go from there. So we'll start with Angie.
All right. Well, as the camp registrar, I have the privilege to help parents get all of the paperwork into us that's needed for your child to attend camp. So I'm always happy to answer your questions, and I'm always asking for an online health history. There's online permission forms that need to be signed, and then there's the medical authorization form that comes from your child's doctor. As far as the online health history and the permission forms, those can be accessed through our website. Once you register your child, then you are sent a link that takes you back to where you can log in and complete that information online. If you have problems logging in, you can just always click the link that says forgot username or password, and that will get a message to us and will help you get over that hurdle. If you have a difficult time with internet access, you can always let us know, and I'll be glad to mail these papers to you. But it's best if you can do it before your child gets to camp. Otherwise, when you come to camp, you're going to be faced with filling out these papers at camp. And that's not what you want to be doing. You want to be hanging out, spending time with your kid. You'll be going through the line, talking with medical professionals, and we'll talk more about that later. But as far as the medical authorization from your child's doctor, our main clinics, Children's Hospital, Nemours, and USA, they will have a copy of that medical authorization form with them, and you can just call, request that they send that, and they can fax it to us. If you would rather carry it with you when your child goes to the doctor, you can do that, and then you can fax it to us, you can email it to us, you can even take a picture of it and send it to us electronically by email, just whatever works best for you. So these are things that we really like to have before your child gets to camp, because that helps us to be the most prepared, and that way we don't have any surprises the last minute there at check-in. I think that's basically covers all that I need. I'll communicate a lot by email requesting these items. I'll be calling you. I may even be sending out text messages to help get these things in. But this is just useful information to help us be prepared for your camper.
And now's a good time if you have questions, if you're wondering, am I registered yet? Is my kid registered yet? Or any other kinds of questions about getting your stuff ready. Somebody's got a question.
Yeah, if you've not received any, if I've not sent you any information about directions, mailing, packing lists, things like that, then your child may not be registered. You may need to give us a call. So,
somebody asked, what if I need to cancel?
Just send us an email, give us a phone call, let us know. We'd hate for that to have to happen, but we understand sometimes things do come up. But if you'll let us know early on, then that will open up a spot for another camper to be able to come.
All right. Well, if you have other questions on the before you get to camp, still definitely comment on those, and we can answer those. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the getting to camp and the check-in process. So, as Angie mentioned, as far as the packing list and the directions as far as to get there, if you haven't received those by email, or if Angie hasn't mailed those to you, call our office, email our office, and we'll send those to you. They're also available on the website under that particular session's description. We did put that up on the website this year. There are some items that are marked as required and we really recommend, and there's some items that we mark as optional, so just know that those may help, but don't worry about going out and spending money and getting things that are optional if that's going to be something that will put your family under a little bit more strain. As far as getting to camp and the arrival, within the next 1 to 2 weeks for senior and junior weeks, and then later in the summer for the coastal overnight camp, for the overnight camps, we actually send an email telling you what time to arrive at camp for check-in. For the day camps, we'll just give you a flat time to get there. We don't do a staggered check-in, but for the overnight camps, we do. We base that on when you get all your paperwork into camp. So Angie, when she gets all the medical paperwork, all the forms, including the doctor's form, then that's when we assign your check-in time. So just know that does include all the forms, but you will get to check in at some point during that day. Once you get to camp, just know that as you arrive, our staff are actually going to drop off your luggage, because we actually label that and get it to the cabin for you. Then you and your family are going to park, and then you're going to make sure you get all, before you leave your luggage with the staff, you're going to make sure that you get all your medications, all your diabetes supplies, all your pump supplies. Make sure you get those out, because you need to bring those to the dining hall or the pavilion, depending on the location, with you, because you'll actually drop those off at check-in. So just try to save yourself the trip of going back to your bags by bringing those with you. So make sure those medical supplies are there. When you get to the dining hall, once you actually start that check-in process from beginning to end, it's going to be about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So just know that it's for the overnight camps. Now the day camps are shorter, but for the overnight camps, it's a little long. But we also want to make sure that we're the most prepared as we can be for having your child for a week. So just realize that needs to happen. If you need to come early or late, just know that if you need to come in later than we assign you as far as the check-in time, that's fine. Just call our office or email, and Angie and I can take care of that. If you need to come in earlier, now usually we aren't able to do too many early check-ins before our staff are actually ready. But if you do have a question, just definitely contact us. Our staff are usually ready by 12:30, 12:45. Before that, we don't have the staff on property to really be ready to check in your child and make sure we have all the supplies and the forms as well as the counselors on duty. So just realize that. Once you get into the dining hall, there's a number of stations that you're going to go into. Just really briefly, you're going to do an account check-in. You check in with Angie, with Mary Ellen, with Rhonda, as far as do we have all the things in, do we have your forms. Then you're going to make sure you do your blood sugar check. You're going to do ketone check if your blood sugars are high. The reason we do those is we need some sort of baseline as far as where you start during the week. That gives our physicians kind of a baseline as far as what happens between 2 o'clock and dinner, for example. So we want to know, have a number for comparison. You're going to do lice check, a vision check, and then you're going to do kind of the rest of the medical check-in. So that's dropping off your medications. Many people are on medications other than insulin, so we're going to actually get all those from you. What we have started doing is you're going to bring in your medicines in your prescription container. We're going to take what we need and actually pack what we need for the week and then give you the container and the leftover medicine back. We don't need to usually keep any of that during the week, but we will finalize that with you when you arrive. Insulin pump supplies, other special diabetes supplies we'll take up after getting a little bit of information from you. But insulin, blood sugar meters, test strips, low blood sugar supplies, 99% of the time, you're going to take those right back home with you. So we don't need those at camp because we actually have those provided to us by the diabetes companies. So you can take those back home with you and save those for after camp. After all that check-in, you are going to check in one more time with our nutrition team. Many of you on your forms have let us know what foods your child either does and doesn't like, what foods they may be allergic to. We're just going to confirm everything so we've got all the information to make sure that we've got able to have your child for the week. That also gives our nutrition team a heads up as far as what foods they may like, because we serve 140 to 160 people plus sometimes, depending on which camp it is. So we know that everyone may not like all the foods, so we always have a backup, but that little talk with the nutrition team gives them some information as far as being prepared. After that, the final stop in there is actually checking in with the physician. So that's where they're going to make some changes potentially to your diabetes management for the camper for the week. So they may raise or lower insulin dosages or ratios based on the difference in activity level that they have at home versus camp. But again, that's very individual, so that's why some of this takes time, is you're actually going to spend some time with them. In our dining hall and our check-in, you're also going to have opportunity to talk with vendors, some diabetes companies and other people that are there. You'll actually have our camp store as well. And that's really the only time you may need money, is our camp store at the very beginning. So the camper doesn't need to keep money with them during the week. Just the parent at the beginning and at the end of camp when our camp store is open. That's the only time. We don't sell anything during the week. We give all the campers t-shirts during the week. We have all our snacks scheduled, so it's not like anyone is getting something that someone else is not. So they don't need to keep money with them during the week. The final couple of thoughts, mail. Now again, in your packing list and directions to camp, you should have the mailing address for camp. You can definitely send mail. With the fact that camp is a little remote, both overnight sites are, sometimes it's a little hard timing mail to get there during the week or on a particular day. So please know you're more than welcome to drop off any days of mail that you want at the beginning of this check-in process, and we can keep that and actually hand it out day by day as you would wish. All you need to put on it is your camper's name, and then we can label the rest of it. If you want to put the day of the week it should go out, that helps us too. As far as questions, again, when you arrive at camp, you're going to get a number so you know clearly when to check in. So just know that everyone's going to get through. We try to get you there about half an hour before we're ready to check you in. Sometimes we're able to hit that right on the dot. Sometimes we're a little longer, but just know that we're getting all the information that we can.
I see a question.
I see that one as well, and that's perfect timing. So the last stop, when you finish all this check-in process, you're going to take your child to their cabin. You're going to get to move them in. That's where you're going to actually get reunited with their luggage. So you can actually move them in depending on if they would like, and a lot of parents like to actually set their camper up in the bed that they choose. If this is their first time at camp, chances are they're going to know very few people, if anybody. That was me 28 years ago at camp. I didn't know a single person. But between other campers that have already arrived and the staff, they're going to start introducing that camper to other people at camp that are going to be there during the week. That's part of what we train our staff to do, is actually introduce these campers to one another. So even if they have that kind of introvert personality, or they're shy or nervous, we're going to try to get them involved. And that first afternoon, they start doing activities as a cabin group together. And these are boys or girls their own age. So that way they've got a little familiarity and kind of things that they're all used to. Then they start to do those activities together from the first minute. If you do know somebody at camp and you know they're around the same age, you can make a cabin request if you haven't already. Most of the time, and I'm the one who assigns those, I'm able to help if they're around the same age and make sure those happen. But if you have questions, that's where just call or email me or Angie, and we can try to take care of that. But I do email or call you if I'm not able to take care of that request, just so you don't have a surprise.
So they would make that request of, I want to be with my friend, like a couple of weeks before camp. They'd call Angie or email Angie.
Yeah, so any requests you have, we do ask that you try to get those in no later than a week and a half to 2 weeks before camp, because that's when we really start to do those cabin assignments and make sure that everyone has a spot.
Cool. So
I think
the only other question I saw that got sent in earlier was, why do we have to check ketones at camp? Because, we might have just come from lunch, and our blood sugar might be high. But
so when we do check ketones at camp, because of the activity level, those ketones, they can cause some issues, especially with the activity level, and we want to be more on the safe side than not. So we do have blood ketone meters a lot of the times, and we use urine ketone strips as well. But anytime the blood sugar is over, depending on the camp, 250 or 300, we do check those. Usually those are before the meals or not right after a meal, because if we know it's a food, that's one thing, but we also just want to make sure that camper is safe.
I had some general questions that were emailed in before we started that I was going to address, and y'all can talk to this too. But one of them was, can I visit my child during the week at camp? And the first answer that springs to mind is, go have fun, have a week without thinking about diabetes. You don't need to come visit. But in all seriousness, the answer is no. First of all, we don't have any visitors on camp other than camp staff during the week. And that's one way we keep your child safe, is we know everybody that steps foot on camp. So you can't just show up. And secondly, sometimes people say, well, can I be a volunteer? We have about 70 volunteers that include counselors that are in the cabins, nurses, pharmacists, doctors, dietitians, etc. And so everyone that is at overnight camp is either a medical professional or a counselor. That's how much space we have for volunteers. So we would love to find another place for you to volunteer with Camp Seale Harris, but it's not on camp. This is your opportunity for your child to get to learn some independence and be with friends. So that's the answer to that. And just a general recommendation as from one parent to another. Give your kid a whole week of being with people who truly get it and understand, and those are their same age peers and their counselors that have been living with diabetes, most of them for 10 years or more, and enjoy your week. And they will be probably sad to see you when you first get there to pick them up, but happy to tell you what they learned and what great friends they made. Anybody else got a question before we?
You know, between now and camp time, you may think of a question for us in the middle of the night. I mean, we do have on our website, campsealeharris.org, there is a FAQ, frequently asked questions page. So you can click on that. That might be able to answer a lot of your questions. And really, the email that I send out that contains the packing list and directions and all that, there's a lot of detail in all of that. So if you'll just read carefully through all of that, then that will probably answer a lot of your questions. But at any time during our office hours, feel free to call us, and we'll still be happy to help answer a question that you may not be able to find the answer to elsewhere.
Angie and I were talking yesterday about our memories as camp moms of going to check in and check out. And the thing we both agreed on was there is no reason to be there early before your check-in time. Because all that'll happen is you'll stand around waiting. So, you know, maybe 10, 15 minutes before your check-in time, it's not hard to park, and you'll be given a number, and your number will get called. And if you missed your number, you'll just get called as soon as you let us know that you're there. So no reason to come early. Your child will not be able to get into a cabin ahead of being checked in the check-in process. So, and then check out. If you're in a hurry, I would suggest coming towards the last 15 minutes of checkout time, because then you're not standing in line because everybody else came early. Those are my two big hints. You have any, Angie, from another parent?
Yeah, that's our experience. I didn't think about coming early, and I always ended up kind of on the late, or not late, but toward the end of the time period, and we never had to wait. And my daughter has type 1 diabetes, and she's attended camp for probably 10 years of camp programs. And so, yeah, that's what we've learned. No need to arrive early.
And plan on checkout day somewhere that you'll be eating lunch right after you pick up your camper, because there's no lunch served on pickup day. And you'll probably be leaving about between 10:30 and 11, and they'll be getting hungry before you get home.
And one thing that I just thought of, be sure you bring your meter with you when you check your child out, so that when you are going home, you have a way to check their blood sugar. That's one of the mistakes that I made the first years we carried my daughter, because I felt so free not to have to carry it around during the week she was at camp. We picked her up, and then we stopped to eat, and we didn't have a meter. But then I think we're given one at camp, so we were able to dig in luggage and find one. But anyway, just bring some meter to check your child's blood sugar on the way home. Maybe insulin too, for the trip home.
One other thing to think, sometimes people wonder who all should come to drop the camper off. Thing to keep in mind is that really only one parent is needed to complete the check-in process. The child does have to have a parent or guardian there to check them in. A lot of people, both parents come. They want to see camp, want to see what it's like, and that's great. It will be, as John mentioned, about an hour and a half to 2 hours from the time you drive onto camp until you're driving out. And it'll probably be between 80 and 100 degrees. There is a little bit of indoor space for waiting, but it's a time-consuming process. So you might want to think about that if you're thinking about bringing grandparents or aunts or uncles or other relatives. You know, it's going to be a couple of hours, and there will be a lot of people there. We'll have 140 campers at each session, and they usually arrive with a couple of parents or family members each. So that's another 200 to 300 people, plus we've got about 70 staff. So altogether it'll be about 500 of us there enjoying the process. So you might want to keep that in mind, and it might be a longer walk for people who have difficulty walking. So keep that in mind. there's not any food served because we're checking in between lunch and dinner. So pack a snack.
The two things I wanted to mention real quick, as far as the checkout process, when you do come, we've talked about if you're in a hurry, we don't recommend it, but if you need to pick up your camper earlier that day, just let us know beforehand so we can prepare, because it's a process. But we don't recommend you picking up your camper before that stated checkout time, because there are those last morning activities like a slideshow or final camp cabin goodbyes and time that they have that they're going to miss out on, and that's usually a big part of that camp experience. Just make sure you don't.
Plus, the doctors won't be ready to talk to you yet.
If you can, and again, just like the beginning, we'd like our staff to be ready. We want our staff to be ready for checkout. The last thing that I say as a former camper and as a director is, obviously we have a lot of people that I think have commented that they're excited about camp. Their kids are excited. Keep that excitement going. Talk to your campers about how they're going to have a great week. The only recommendation that I make is the only thing not to say to them is, well, if you don't have a good time, have them let me know and I'll pick you up. Don't set up that pickup deal, because it kind of sets it up for failure. So again, keep them excited, know that they're going to have a good time, and have them talk to us if for some reason they have any issues. There's a counselor, there's a unit leader, there's me as the director, plus tons of other medical and support staff that can help out if they have any issues, and then we'll be in contact with you if we have any questions for you as the parent.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is going to be pinned to our Camp Seale Harris fan page on Facebook. So if you know anybody that missed it, or if you want to refer back to some of the Q&A, it'll be there for you. And if we missed any of your questions, you can just contact us at info@campsealeharris.org, or you can call our office at any time. So thanks so much. We look forward to seeing everybody at camp.
Bye.